We're live. Look at that. Welcome to the Second Chance Live series. I have a very special guest with me today. He is what I would call from the streets an OG in the online business building industry. True story. I was thinking about scaling and growing second chance athletes, and I'm watching this guy showing up, and I buy this like $47 course that he has, and I'm messaging, and he messaged me back, and I'm like, is this really him, or just like somebody from his staff? And it was really him. Long story short, he invited me to be a part of his higher level mastermind, and if it was not for that, I probably would not be in business right now because it kept me out. So you know what's funny? Some of the content in my book is from the blogs that he helped me write. This guy is a beast. You guys are going to learn a lot from him. And he has a new book out. It's called Your Message Matters: How to Rise Above the Noise and Get Paid for What You Know. If you've got a message, if you think that you have a message and you don't know what the message is yet, his book is going to help you get that message out there to the world. It's what helped my message get out there to the world. So I'm introducing you to the voice, the leader who has helped me rise into my greatness. He's also a blogger, speaker, and online business coach. He has spent the last decade guiding and directing creative professionals on how to pursue meaningful work. Since 2009, Jonathan has run his own profitable lifestyle business online. How many of you, drop in the chat, have an online business that we can support? Drop it in the chat. Don't be afraid. Let people know who you are, where you are. It doesn't matter how gifted you are, how talented you are. If nobody knows who you are, drop your business in the chat. Today, he teaches others how to build a business with their passion, their story, or message. He lives in Jacksonville, Florida, with his wife, who is far more amazing than he is. Charity. I was like, man, this lady is awesome, man. You really are good at marketing, aren't you?
Yeah.
This is my friend, Jonathan Milligan. Here's what you can do. We're going to share online business tips with you. We're going to talk about how to get your message out there to the world. We're going to talk about his new book. And I have a special surprise for you. So I want you to host a watch party. Here's some good incentive. If you want Jonathan's book and you have yet to get it, I will buy you his book. The first 5 people to text me at this number, 770. My team is clicking the button at the same time I am. 407-5177. Text me and say, I want this book. I will buy 5 people the copy because I believe in his message, because it will help your story get out there to the world, because it is a step-by-step blueprint to market your message. Your message deserves to be heard. The people who you're going to impact deserve to hear your story. That's my commercial. So text me. I'm giving it 5 copies of his book away on this call today. All right. That's my commercial, Jonathan. Thank you for joining me today. Make sure you host a watch party. Notify all your friends. Don't be stingy. There's enough books to go around. Amazon has all that we can handle. Host a watch party. Click the share button if you're watching on another platform. Jonathan, thank you for joining me today. Let people know a little bit about your book.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come here. It's kind of surreal because I remember us having a phone conversation a couple of years ago, and I think it was right before you moved into Atlanta. And I mean, and I was just on the phone with this guy going, this guy has so much potential. And I think I even told you that on the call, if I remember right. I said, I don't even know if you understand, Darryll, how much potential you have. And so for us to be here right now, it is an honor and a privilege, because the coolest thing is like to see somebody who you consider somebody you mentor, like just blow past you and just go to these amazing heights. And that's what I see happening. It's happening already. And it's been pretty cool to be a part of that. So Your Message Matters is a book that this was like about a year and a half ago. I was like, I'm ready to write this book. And here's where some of it came from. It was actually, I was doing selling one of my courses. I only open up one of my courses in the fall and spring. And I said, I'm going to do a live chat on the last day I'm going to actually be on the live chat. And if you have questions about my course, come, and I sent an email out, come chat with me. It's really me. And I remember I had like 7 or 8 live chats going at once, and I'm having these conversations all day long. It was crazy. And it was busy, but it was great to talk to people directly, right? Like, what questions do they have? What's stopping them from buying the course?
Right.
And here was the thing. Most of them said they didn't believe in themselves. It's like, Jonathan, I think your product will work. In fact, I know it will work, but I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it because of the technology challenges. I don't
Mm.
know if people will pay me for what I know. I don't know. And so here was the big revelation. And this is a huge revelation for anybody in business. People doubt themselves more than they doubt in your products.
Wow.
And that's where it
Wow.
starts. And so I said, you know what? I've got to write a book that is one part self development, second part practical marketing tactics and tools and strategies.
Mm.
If I just gave the marketing strategies, most people wouldn't use it, especially in the influencer space, because this book is for writers, speakers, teachers, and coaches, people who have a message. And so we spend the first half of the book like a self development journey on helping you, first of all, believe you have a message. And second of all, how do you uncover what is unique about you?
Mm.
What are your unique gifts and abilities? And we have some assessments in there. And then the second part of the book is actually the marketing. How do you market your message? So that, in essence, is what the book's about.
Mm. I so love it, and let me give you guys the best testimonial. Okay, if you watch me, you see me on TEDx. If you watch me, you see me on the NCAA. If you watch me, you saw me on Fox and ABC, these news channels I was on. Let me tell you, there's a time that I talked to Jonathan. The time he described so eloquently well is I was sitting there going, I don't know, man. I've got these big dreams. I don't know how to get there. I don't have any money. I'm trying to figure out like how to monetize. Nobody's listening. I post a blog. 2 people read it. And it's my mom and my grandma because I forwarded it to them. And now look,
Mm.
your life could be like that. And don't you dare say it's because I'm loud and annoying and have this big smile with this huge gap, because it has nothing to do with that. It's because I found somebody. They say when you want to be successful at anything, find somebody who's already there and ask them for directions. And Jonathan's there and he has directions. And we're giving away 5 copies of his book. Wow, your message matters. And the only thing I ask you in return is when you get the book and you read it, leave your authentic, honest review. I know it's going to be 5 stars. I know it's going to be amazing. So do that. So, Jonathan, like, okay, you said something that was really profound. And you have a tendency to do that, just like, oh, I'm just gonna throw this out there. People have a trouble buying into themselves more than they buy into your product. Man, that's a huge mindset shift for entrepreneurs who are feeling the sting of rejection, especially the new ones right now who are shifting into entrepreneurship because of the pandemic. Talk about some grassroots entrepreneur advice. What do you think are those key components that helps entrepreneurs be successful in the online coaching industry?
Yes. So here's another key point, and I think your story, Darryll, fits this to a T. So one of the things I talk about in the book is that think about the people you want to help. All right, their future help depends on your present courage right now. And the way that this
Mm.
came to me was I held an event. This is pre-COVID back in 2019, and we had people fly in for the event. And when I was at the event, I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to like one of my first YouTube videos, and I want to play it for everybody so they could
Mm.
see like how terrible I was on video. Because what we do is we look at these people and think, oh, they're just naturally good at podcasting. They just naturally know
Mm-hmm.
how to speak. And I wanted to play that first video to kind of like show people like, yeah, I mean, I still have ways to go, but I was really, really bad. Like my first videos were creepy. And so I went back to that first video, and here was the thing. I couldn't believe it.
Hmm.
My first YouTube video was uploaded the same day as my event,
I remember
same
that.
day, 10 years earlier,
Wow,
exactly 10 years.
that's
So the
crazy.
event was June 20th, June 19th, 2019. And that was June 20th. 2009 was my first video.
Oh.
And I just kind of like sat there for a minute and I was like, you know what? If I could hop in the DeLorean using a Back to the Future reference, go back to my former self, right when he was thinking about uploading the video, tap on his shoulder and said, hey, I see what you don't see. There is a room full of people 10 years in the future, and their future help depends on your present courage right now. Even though you feel like you don't have it all together, even though you feel like, there's still parts I don't get, I don't understand, you need to have present courage in this moment. And I think that is so key. And I think about your story, Darryll, like having present courage to make yourself vulnerable, to share the challenges, the struggles, the difficulties that you went through after sports was taken away. I know what that's like. I broke my leg in the state championship basketball game my senior year. Sports was taken away. My identity was taken away in an instant, in one play. And yet, here we are, impacting people because we took courage, and everybody can take courage. It's just a choice. And so that's what I would say right now is there's a lot of unsettledness, right? We're all unsettled a little bit, but in the book, I hope that you discover what's changeless about you. That is the way that you're wired, the gifts that you have, and we need to help you offer those to the world. And so now's a better time than any to start and get started.
Oh gosh, man, you got me fired up, Jonathan. You know what you get today? You get the bell, my friend. It's so amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm inspired. I'm inspired already, and I know you. Let's talk about the other side. So now you got me. You got me to jump off the cliff. I'm sharing my message. I'm out there. I'm doing it. And one of the things you taught me is sometimes we wait for all the answers before we make the leap. But you said to me that clarity comes in the doing. And I was like, dang it. So let's talk about the doing. When it comes to marketing your message, what are some steps that we can take?
So we got to take some steps, and you can't just, trying to get clarity and sitting in a rocking chair doesn't work, right? It's like, we got to do something that's like making some progress. It's like sitting in a rocking chair, you're just going back and forth, but you're not going anywhere. Yeah. You get clarity from movement and from taking action. That's where it comes. And so that's where it starts. But on the marketing part, I like to teach a 4-part strategy. It's 4 habits, and it's simply create, capture, compile, and connect. And we spent 1 chapter each in the book kind of describing this. And the first one, create, is what are you doing to create free value? Where you're attracting people, just like we're doing right here. We're doing this through a live stream, through podcasting, through YouTube videos, through blog posts. That is the free value that we put out there. And what that allows us to do, and this is people are like, well, why do I got to create this content? I get that question a lot. But here's the thing. You only have 2 options when it comes to marketing you. You either market yourself or promote yourself, with which a lot of us don't love doing, or you promote your content. Whether your content is bringing in awesome people to interview, or your content is creating your own, sharing your own experience and story, we got to create. Then capture. We have to capture these people on an email list. And learning the business of doing that today is more important than ever. You have to have leads in your business. So what are you doing to capture people on a list? And then compile. How can you compile your story, your products, your experiences? How can you package them into products and services? And then finally is connect. That's where you are doing the traffic thing, right? You're reaching out and you're promoting your content. So again, create, capture, compile, connect. We did a real fast overview, but we go deep into all 4 of those in the book, a chapter each on every one of those.
So make sure you get a copy of the book. I see Robert tuning in. I see Jamil tuning in. I see my wife popped her head in for a second. I see Rodney popping in. I see Darius popping in, and Joyce. Man, you guys want a copy of Jonathan's book? If you're one of the first 5 people to text me, I think I already had 1 text come in. Yep, sure did. Here's the number. Let's put it on the screen. 770-407-51775 copies. The only thing I ask for is that you leave a review, a long review, a good review, because this is good material. Jonathan, one of the things, you've been doing this for a while and you've evolved with the times, and you've coached a lot of entrepreneurs who are getting started and at different phases. What do you see as some of the common traits that help some succeed and some don't?
Yes, that is an awesome question. Here's my answer. So I came to this realization a couple years back. So I got started in blogging. That's where I started back in 2009. That was the hip, cool thing. It was before live streaming, and YouTube was just kind of coming on the scene. And that's where, it took probably 3 hours to upload a 10-minute video back then in 2009.
You're
But
dating yourself. Don't do that.
yeah, exactly. And so I started with blogging. I mean, that's where I got started, is just, putting stuff out there, getting traffic from Google and building an audience around something you're passionate about. And today, still some of those things are true. However, there's so much more that's accessible to us: podcasting, videos, live streaming. Like, we can incorporate all of these. But here's the point. Here was the big aha moment. I would be talking to people and they're like, yeah, blogging is just not my thing. And I would be like, I would talk to a lot of people. And I'm like, well, my brand back then was blogging your passion. So I'm like, why are you following me? I'm curious, because like, I teach blogging. And then I started realizing that there were 4 influencer voices. And this is why it's so important. So if you want to write, teach, speak, coach, you want to do something in this influencer space, the first step is to identify what your primary influencer voice is. And so what I started doing is, I'm like, why isn't there an assessment? We have personality tests for all of this stuff out there. Why isn't there an assessment that helps me determine what am I more motivated to do?
All right.
Some of us are more motivated to express our thoughts in writing, some speaking, some teaching, and some coaching. And so I created an assessment. I put the full assessment in the book because I wanted everybody to be able to take this assessment for free. And it's a 32-question assessment that helps you nail that down. And the reason why this is important is because if you're a speaker and that's like how you're naturally motivated and wired, you need to be doing like live streaming or YouTube videos, right? And that's a great way to create content. If you're a coach, maybe you should think about a podcast interview style type podcast. If you're a writer, maybe you should be blogging. And so energy flows and your creativity will flow when you align it with how you're naturally wired.
That's
And
good. Where's my bell?
That's
my
where I look
gosh,
at you,
man.
I'm like, from the moment I met Darryll, Darryll's a speaker. But guess what? You can also do all 4, because guess what you did? You wrote a book, right? And so you can do all 4, but the fastest path to income and impact is where you're naturally motivated and what you're naturally wired to do. Start there.
I like that. And we live in a world where there's so many different ways to get your message out there. I remember like early in I actually came from a writing background, so it was easier for me to blog than it was for me to speak, believe it or not. Now I can't shut up. I was doing your intro. My wife texted me and said, Darryll, let him talk. I love her, man. She's hilarious. But one way. So if you're here and you're like, man, I want to write a book one day, but that seems like a huge project. I'm telling you, Jonathan can help you get started blogging. It started. If I scroll through here, there's at least 10 blog posts that I wrote in here.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I started, because this was daunting. It was like, oh my gosh, this took me like 4 or 5 years to write. But you can write a blog post in 2 days. Right. Start this journey. Start somewhere. Start with a word, a sentence. If you're not good at writing, you can use text to talk. What's that? Otter.ai. iPhone has an app like dictation. Like we live in a world where like all excuses are eliminated. One of the things I enjoy about you is you're like a perfect blend of like inspiration and just like practical steps. And I know that you talk about the different types of traffic, and you have a book. This is your second book, is that right?
Yeah, it's my second book. This is my first traditionally published book, but
Aw-
the first one was a self-published.
Awesome.
But yeah, second book.
What I love about you is you still have all your old stuff up there. I mean, I was going your YouTube channel the other day and I saw videos from 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Talk about the growth you've experienced as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So Jeff Goins wrote a great book called Real Artists Don't Starve. And in the
Mm,
book, he talks about the importance of practicing in public. And I think that is something that we, that most creators, most influencers have a hard time with because we want to be good from the start. And it just doesn't work that way. You got to get started first, right?
yeah.
Practice in public, as hard and as like intimidating as that is, that's where the courage element comes in. My first blog post, not that good. My first podcast, terrible. First videos, I already talked about. It sounds like I'm the creepy uncle tucked away in a closet when he's doing the YouTube training video, right? For career coaching. It's terrible. It is terrible.
Yeah.
But at the time I thought, I'm just going to give value and do what I can. And then
Right,
you
right.
learn things like how to bring energy. You learn how to get, like, for me, I used to be a high school teacher. So when I first started, it was like sitting in a room with nobody and there's like this camera and I have to like focus on this little lens and not look down at my computer all the time. And there's these habits you have to learn. But the way that you get better is through practice. So just learn to practice in public. It's okay. Your message will get out there and people will see you for who you are. And there's people who are going to connect to your personality, your style. And you just got to just be you.
Yeah. This is so true. And guys, just so you know, like this is gold, by the way. And you're listening over 10 plus years of experience, and really more than that when you compound exponentially the amount of reading, investment in itself that he's making. So I encourage you, if you have any questions, now's the time to drop them in the chat. I'll be happy to make sure our team collects them and gets those to Jonathan. If you are just tuning in, welcome to the Second Chance Live series. Jonathan is a speaker, a blogger, online coach. Just released the book Market Your Message, and it's phenomenal. Even though I haven't read it yet, I've devoured his content, and I can tell you that the book is amazing because he's helped me go from unseen to seen, right? And unheard to heard, and from little bitty teeny impact to big splashing impact. And so he can help you do the same, no matter how insignificant you may feel your message is or how inexperienced you feel. This can help you. So if you're just tuning in, I encourage you to host a watch party that will notify everybody in your timeline that this is content worth listening to. If you're watching on Periscope, because that's still a thing, you're watching on YouTube or one of our other platforms that we're streaming to, just hit the share button, because that will, or copy the link and paste it to one of your other platforms, because that's going to help us get this message out there to those who are trying to grow their businesses, who need to rung the bell for myself, get their message out there. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Jonathan, was in your experience, like I know market your message in a world that's just noisy, right? Is
Mm.
when people, I know there's algorithms online that, I just heard Instagram updated their algorithm like in the last week and dropped people's engagement. And so it feels like so overwhelming sometimes. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Periscope. Like, you get a full-time job just trying to get one piece of content on all these platforms. What's your advice to how do we actually get heard in this noisy world?
Yeah. So what I would encourage people to do is to narrow it down. Like
Hmm.
pick one social media platform and just decide the next 30 or 90 days, I'm going to try to learn this thing as well as I can, and I'm going to go deep in it. I think here's the difference. I liken this in my book. Like, think about if we're standing in front of the ocean, and let's say I have a little tiny vial, a little tiny thing of ink, right? And then
Mm,
let's say I got this water bottle right here, and I've got two options. I could take this ink, pour it into this water bottle, or I can take the ink and pour it into the ocean. Which one is going to have more impact? Which
mm,
one's going to make a difference? It's going to be the bottle of water.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that's same thing happens with us is like, okay, I got to market my message, so I got to be everywhere. And you don't want to start there. Start with one place, do one thing. And I read this in a book a couple years ago, and it has just stuck with me. Success is not complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Success is about going 10 steps in one direction. Most people go one step in 10 directions. So think about that for a
Mm-hmm.
second.
That's good.
Success is all about
That's good.
going 10 steps in one direction, where
Mm.
most people go one step in 10 directions. So it's hard because we're
Guilty. I'm
like,
guilty.
I'm guilty too. It's hard because what it is like we're like, well, I don't know what's going to work, so I just going to do all of it.
Yeah.
The problem is we don't really make a splash. We don't really make noise in any one thing. We don't give it time to develop, which is another thing I talk about in the book is like become a farmer. And
Mm.
the reason I say that is because think about a farmer. If a farmer, let's say he bought a plot of land, he woke up the first day, he went and put all of his seed down, went to bed that night, and he's like, man, that was a good day. I got all my seed in the ground. And then he wakes up the next day, runs over to the curtains, pulls back the curtains, looks out of his window, expecting to see knee-high crop, and there's nothing. And then he throws up his hand and tells his wife, see, I knew this farm thing wasn't going to work. Well, that's crazy, right? We know that that's not how it works. You get up every day, you put your overalls on, and you get to work. And you do it in the hot summer when it's
Mm.
dry. You do it when there's not the rain that you want. You pull up the weeds. You get up and you steward the land
Mm.
that God's giving you,
Mm-hmm.
and you keep stewarding it, believing that the harvest is going to come.
Mm.
But what happens for a lot of us is we just give up before the harvest.
Mm.
We do a little bit of action and we measure our results way too soon.
Mm.
For a little while, you need to measure your actions, not your results. There's a time to measure your results. But right now, measure your actions like a farmer does. He measures his actions every day. What action did I take on this land that I have? Not did I get a knee high crop today? It's a big difference.
Wow. Wow. I just put this on the banner just for you. So good. You're listening to Jonathan Milligan, man, and he just released the book, Your Message Matters. Head over to Amazon, head over to his website, head over to marketyourmessage.com and get everything. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Do everything. I mean, he's got so much content out there. I'm giving away 5 copies of his book today. I only seen one person text me so far, unless I missed it. Nope. Wait, okay, 2 people text me. So now we have 3 books left to give away. 770-407-5177. Text me for a free book from Jonathan. The only thing I ask is that, number 1, you leave a review. Number 2, you read the book, because I'm not doing this so he sells 5 more books. I'm doing this because 5 more messages get out there to the world. That's what we want to happen. I want your message, because I know what it's like to be sitting there wondering if you have what it takes, wondering if your message matters, wondering if you can figure it out, wondering if you'll ever be seen, posting something, trying it, and having no one but your grandma and mother respond because you forwarded it to them. And the greatest way to be successful is to find someone who's doing what you're already doing and ask them for directions. Jonathan, thank you for these directions that you're giving us right now. These are phenomenal. I've got just a couple more questions I want to ask you, and then we'll let you go, man. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. It's still not too late to hit that share button, but here's one of my questions. You talk about picking one platform and the importance of pouring your ink into the water bottle and not the ocean. What would you say? How does one decide which platform to choose?
So I think it's doing some research, right? We have all this research is available to us, and we can do research out there. So do research. On Facebook, are there groups around what you want to do? Are there similar groups on LinkedIn? Are there groups gathering? Where are people gathering, right? And you can do a search on Twitter. You can do a search on Pinterest. Are people following boards about this topic? There's a lot of research that's available to us that I think we sometimes forget about. And here's the thing. seeing competition is not a bad thing. It's actually proof of concept. So when we
Mm,
see that there's life on Facebook or life on Instagram accounts
mm,
around something similar to our message, that is a good sign because that means there's people paying attention on those. And so go do the research on these different platforms and look and see who are the influencers in these spaces.
yeah.
How are they reaching them? By the way, that's research too. Like what on Instagram, what type of post are they doing that's getting the engagement?
Right.
Then now go do similar posts.
Yeah.
It's not as complicated as sometimes we make it, but I think what happens is we just don't do the time to actually do the research.
Yeah. I so agree, man. And I would just add in this component to you is because I know being part of your inner circle community, you get so many people who have these messages and we're cross pollinating and we're thinking of ideas and we're sharing best strategies. By the way, if you don't have a mastermind community, just reach out to Jonathan, see if he has any space, but I don't know if he does. I'd love for you to join me and get to see more of me. But is that there's an just because you're borrowing someone's strategy doesn't mean you lose your personality because there is an element of uniqueness that the world responds to, right? And so there are principles to help you market your message, but it does not mean you lose your personality. So I just want to share that with the world. Jonathan, I just want at this moment for everyone who's watching or watching the replay to go get your book. It's all there. And I know it's going to help people, a lot of people, get their message out to the world. And at this moment, I've got 2 or 3 people who've texted me. I can't see. Sorry, I've got messages coming in. This is the problem with actually being on a bunch of podcasts now. Is my life is getting crazy. But I will promise you, I will look at every timestamp and the first 5 people that say I want Jonathan's book. And let me just say, like, you don't have to stay subscribed to the text messaging community. I don't care if you don't want the rest of my content. You might not care about athletes and life after sports. You might just want the free book. Just say free book, get the free book, and then unsubscribe because I want your message to get out there to the world. I wanna help somebody take the step that I was so afraid to take, because here I am, and I know that I would not be who I am today if I wouldn't have taken that step. So, Jonathan, I kind of want to just give you a free moment to say anything you want to say, share anything you want to say as it relates to your book, your platform, your work with entrepreneurs. This is a free for all section, and then I'm going to talk about my own material.
Well, first of all, thanks, Darryll, for having me and just allowing me to be here. Like I said, it's pretty awesome to be sitting here with somebody who, I can say I remember when I knew this guy, right? And it's really cool to be a part of your story and just to be a part of it. So that's the first thing I want to say. And the people that are following you, they're in the right place because you've got the right charisma, the right like energy, the right enthusiasm. You have a story as well that's amazing and awesome. You don't sugarcoat it. You let people know the good, bad, and the ugly of what you went through, and it's just so awesome. So it's so inspiring. The thing that I would just want to encourage people to do is listen. If you're like, I don't know if I am a writer, I used to think that way too. My wife told me, Jonathan, you're going to write a book one day. And guess what? When she told me that, we were about married for about 3 years.
Mm.
I didn't even have a laptop computer, right? I was teaching at a high school. I was in the wrong place, wrong time, wrong, no book I did, no nothing. And she spoke those
Wow.
words to me. And I said, I look back at that, and that's why I dedicated the dedication to her. Because I said,
Mm,
this book would not have happened if it weren't for your words that you spoke
mm,
into my life. And so
mm,
if you're there right now where you're like, I don't think I can write, I don't know that I'm a teacher, I don't know that I can speak, I don't know if I can coach people or do this thing. I don't know if I could do this figure out this technology stuff. Or if you're just in that place, I would just want to go back to what I said earlier. It's about present courage.
mm,
Like all the people you're waiting to help, there's this wall of courage and there's a
mhm,
single rope hanging down. All these people on the other side that you have the ability to make an impact on are
mm.
cheering you on, and they're cheering for you to grab a hold of that rope and decide to make the climb over that wall of
Wow.
courage. And once you do, you're going to have everything you wanted in life, which you're going to find is actually nothing about what you gain. It's all about what you give and
Yeah.
making impact on others. And that's where I would leave it.
Amazing. Triple bell, TKO, phenomenal. Go order the book. Go to marketyourmessage.com. Get it today. Leave a review when you read it. Get your message out there to the world. I want to emphasize just one angle, and then I'm going to run a super long commercial. When I say long, it's like I'm going to play a 2-minute video, and then I'm going to come on and talk for an additional minute and a half. But you mentioned your wife. And I think this is important just to leave people with, because I know there's going to be a small percentage of our audience who are listening. They're like, I'm not going to be a TEDx speaker like Darryll. I'm not going to write a book like Jonathan. This book is for those people. But marketing your message isn't just about some big platform or big dream. It's about your message getting to the people who need to hear it. Jonathan shared a story about his wife who gave her message to him. Does your wife have a book?
She's actually done a Kindle book.
Has she really?
I convinced her to do a Kindle book a couple of years back. But
okay. Who sold more books, you or your wife?
I'm not going to say.
You. Here's my point. Jonathan sold more books than his wife, but he wouldn't have sold not one book if it wasn't for his wife and her, you ready for this? Message. TEDx, Fox, ABC, Mastermind, Entrepreneur, Chris Gronkowski, Jack Canfield endorsed my book. But my mother threw herself on the hood of my car and kept me from committing suicide. You know what her message was? Son, I believe in you. Son, you have purpose. It's not about some big platform. The book will give you that if you need it. It's just about your message getting to the people who need to hear it the most. So that's it. And speaking of messages, I have a message to share with you. I want to play the intro video, team. Can we roll the intro video and take a look at this? Take a look at this. Awkward silence.
Leave me alone. I just want to die. These are the words that I screamed in 2012 as I lay on a psychiatric unit following a recent suicide attempt. At that time in my life, I had just been kicked off the football team at Central Michigan University because of all the opioid pills I was taking to numb the pain I was experiencing from playing football after my back surgery. I didn't think my future had anything that would fulfill me like being an athlete once did. I didn't want to work a 9-to-5. I didn't want to get a master's degree. I didn't want to start a business. I just wanted to play sports, and I couldn't. I was tormented by the fact that something I had worked my entire life to achieve was now no longer an option. At that time, I had so many people around me that only liked me because I played sports, and I thought since I was no longer an athlete that no one would really care about me anymore. I figured since sports was over, that meant my life was over. Yet little did I know, my life was just beginning.
And your life is just beginning. And let me tell you what's going to help it get started. Jonathan's book. Go to marketyourmessage.com. Go ahead and text me at 770-407-5177. If you're one of the first 5 people that text me, free book. I will purchase the book for you at zero cost, send it directly to your address. And the only thing I ask you is to leave a review. Jonathan, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you as a mentor, as a coach, for what you do to the entrepreneurs. I'll say to you what I said to very few people that have this level of impact, that you are a leader of leaders, which means your impact goes beyond me and the people you serve. It reaches the people that we serve. That's the level of impact that you have. So thank you so much for who you are and what you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Darryll. Appreciate it. And thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. Go get the book. We love you guys. Till next time, we'll see you soon. Peace.